Hello, everybody. Welcome to MUSC Red Devils NCR live again. And I'm Antriksh. We're back once again. We have a lot to discuss today as well, as we know about the Greenwood saga, the Greenwood drama, whatever you may call it as. wo chal raha hai. We have a bit of transfer news. We have some transfer news on people staying, some on people leaving. So we got to figure out that as well. And just there's a lot of buzz, unfortunately a negative buzz around Manchester United right now. Some news reports coming out of the Glazers movement as well, some coming out about the maybe the outgoing of Richard Arnold as well. So we have a lot of that to discuss here and much more. So it's a big sort of a stream a day for Manchester United, because I was expecting maybe today or tomorrow, maybe tomorrow's Wednesday, so we can expect some big story to come up, which they basically use to hide off जो भी Greenwood का ये सब market में चर्चा चल रहा है. Because you know what I mean, their PR is taking a hit, as we discussed yesterday. No one could have been the winners, like no one sub Greenwood, uski family, the accuser, the club, the supporters, the fans, the even the owners, for fuck's sake, everyone lost out on this. The jitna minimal damage kisi ko bhi ho sakta tha, we tried about that. But apart from that, everyone had to lose here because it was a lost cause. Everyone had lost in last year January when the pictures and the audio came out, because tab hi sab kuch decide ho gaya tha कि we were not going to be that good, we were not going to be that potent about this, because we had just lost the fact that हमारा एक star boy, हमारा एक player who was supposed to be the next big thing for us, who was highly acclaimed, not just at the club, but across Europe, across the world, across the whole international fan base, actually went on and just disappeared in thin air. So that was pretty, I'd say negative. Welcome to Vijay Bhai, who starts off with a comment, and he says, Man United doing pre-medical on Altair Bender in Greece, ahead of possible 5 million move of Fenerbahce. United want to assess back issue before opting to sign. Yeah, of course. So I was going to talk about that as well. And as I said, there is a lot of a transfer roundups, little transfer roundups to cover up as well. So we will discuss about that, Vijay Bhai. But yeah, thank you so much for commenting out there. But yeah, as I said, as I was talking like about Greenwood and stuff, the fact that he just went out and could have been. Uska stories now could forever be the what could have been rather than what is, because Manchester United essentially decided that they were not going to continue with Greenwood. And now there have been a lot of reports about Greenwood, very potentially could go, maybe Saudi is one option, and there are a couple more options which you discuss. So let's start off with that. And also, by the way, Vijay Bhai also says, also depends on Dean Henderson's exit. Like Dean Henderson's exit or not, because I think he has made it clear. He has made it clear that he doesn't want to be second choice, right? So it'll be a very hectic and a sort of a haphazard kind of a situation if we keep Dean Henderson. We have seen in the past that he is not very keen to be United's number 2, and हमें उस player को नहीं generally लगना चाहिए who wouldn't want to be here in the role they are assigned, which is never the case, because then you don't find the squad to be happy. So apart from that, I believe Dean Henderson going may actually effort. There is this Benfica keeper Vlasi Damos that we may be targeting, and then there are a couple of more signings that we are targeting. But as I said, sticking to the Greenwood thing, I think the reports coming out that Richard Arnold is called out for his head now. Richard Arnold basically, who basically came out with a letter, an open letter yesterday, stating of that मैं आपके साथ open हूँ, ये रहा, we try to do everything, this and that. Mason Greenwood को हम ऐसे ही नहीं छोड़ सकते थे, this and that. हमने ये किया, saying all of that. We don't think Mason Greenwood ने वो किया जो उसे बोला गया था, but still we have taken the step. Now, you know what? As I said, there were no winners in this, but what could have been, what should have been, who knows? Who knows? Because if you come out with a statement that really says the fact that उसने वो नहीं किया जो उसे बोला जा रहा था, but then you're still going on and actually suspending him. What does that mean? As much as I believe that the club did whatever they could, I don't get about the fact that why are they suspending him then? Like, wo kyun suspend ho raha hai? Because if he actually did not do that, what do you think he did? So that's one for C. And then it's about the fact that there is still, not a clear future as to if he's going to go, if he's going to go out on loan, if he's going to demand a transfer, whatever's going to happen. No one knows about that. So that remains a fact to be noted as well, because you can't just come out with a statement and say मेरे से ये नहीं हो रहा, मेरे से ये नहीं हो रहा, but हम इसको तब भी ban करेंगे. You can't do that essentially. And the fact that there is news in the market stating that एक यू टर्न लिया गया है, एक यू टर्न लिया गया है मार्केट में, because this wasn't supposed to be the original plan. The original plan was supposed to be that Mason Greenwood would be integrated into the squad after few necessary steps are taken. That wasn't the case at all. So that's about that. But in terms of the transfer market and the transfers doing the roundups, Harry Maguire is almost set to be staying at United. Obviously, he can still move. Obviously, there are chances कि वो Manchester United छोड़ के जाता है इस season. But those look slim right now. Those look pretty slim right now, because Fabrizio Romano came out and Fabrizio Romano basically just said that Harry Maguire is not going to leave the club. Harry Maguire is not going to leave the club till now, because there is no as such news. There is no as such indication of him leaving the club. Essentially, because now West Ham have actually gone on and signed that Stuttgart defender, that Stuttgart centre back, Konstantinos Mavropanos. And uska medical mein kuch dikkat aa rahi thi, so that could have been a lifeline for us United fans. But I think that has gone on and sorted out itself. So I think wo chance bhi gaya, because Harry Maguire ko, I mean, there are two sections of the fans, and yet again I sit somewhere in the middle, because एक section of the fans ko भर भर के गालियां दे रहा है. He is being abused wholesomely, if I would use the word, in the most negative connotation possible. मतलब उसे mercenary, उसे playing for money, stuff and stuff. Like जो लोग साउदी जा रहे हैं, उन लोगों को इतना पैसे के बारे में नहीं बोला जा रहा than Harry Maguire. Then the other section, and I sort of fall in between, but I also align with this section, the other one, which is that he's entitled to a contract, he's entitled to a payout, and he's entitled to whatever we decided to pay him. Now he's at the age wherein Manchester United ka contract, his next contract with any other club is going to be his last big contract of his career. So why shouldn't he look out for himself? You know what? He came out from Sheffield, Hull, Leicester City, Manchester United ka captain. See, he had a career path which moved quite steadily. So why shouldn't he be looking for a transfer payout? Why shouldn't he be looking to get his due wages? Because after this, क्या होने वाला है उसके पास? After this, there isn't going to be much that he would actually be looking to buy, looking to earn, actually, to be honest. So you can't really blame the guy about the fact that he's trying to get a payout. So that is where I understand. But I also understand from the fact that, these are certain steps that we need to take in order to get our club back and running, that to push us in the right direction. But Maguire becomes urgent to that. Maguire basically एक negative factor बन रहा है in preventing us from getting to the top. So I do understand the frustration of the fans, and especially the fact कि वो हमारा एक captain था, and वो हमारा sort of one of the most hated players है. So the combination of that doesn't really play out well for us, because Maguire के यहाँ रहने से we have essentially lost Benjamin Pavard to Inter Milan. By the way, Inter Milan is this close to sealing. I think the next step is Here We Go, or maybe हो भी गया हो Here We Go, if I'm not sure. So essentially, we have lost Benjamin Pavard to Inter Milan, and Bayern are selling him for in and about 30 million. So उसका direct blame एक तरीके से Harry Maguire पे जाता है through our fans. And then I can understand the frustration fans would have with Harry Maguire, because he's essentially said that he's not going to go out. उसे अपने specific number of millions चाहिए, because वो उसके career का last big contract होने वाला है. So essentially what it means is that he's not going to leave the club until a club comes in that can actually afford, if not the 200, but at least the 125, 150, so that United would give him a specific payout, which he believes he deserves, and contractually he does as well. So that is the scene with him, and that is where we stand. But uski wajah se, I think we have lost. There was this Tapsoba karke ek banda which we were looking for. So as a backup, so maybe him is who we refer to now, because when we talk about Harry Maguire, wo to gaya as in uska bikne ka chance gaya. So, I mean, again, there are two sets of fans which are divided here. And then another one, I mean, James Ward-Prowse came in and settled in so well at West Ham ekdam aate hi 2 assists. What can you say about that? Because that just मतलब एक जले पे हमारे नमक छिड़क दिया basically. There is no way Scott McTominay कहीं पे भी कुछ भी जा रहा है. West Ham had concrete interest for Scott McTominay, and that seems to be gone now. Manish Bhai says, I want to continue singing, "Oh Harry Maguire." I know. It differs and stuff, but I mean, what can we say? As I said, 2-3 sections of fan बटे हुए हैं, and काफी hate मिल रहा है उस बंदे को, and I don't like it. I don't like it when any player gets hate, because you know what, वो हमारा captain था. For whatever it's worth, I mean, there has to be some level of respect attached to him. But I think people are saying, if you want that amount of respect, I think you should just F off from the club right the hell now. But he's not willing. Apart from that, there have been a couple of reports about Mason Greenwood himself, stating कि वो कहाँ जाने वाला है, वो किस club में जाने वाला है. So about that, you guys can let me know in the chat, what are your views about the recent updates about Mason Greenwood. Him, actually, it's being confirmed now that it was indeed a U-turn. Athletic have released a whole article about that as well, as to how Manchester United, in the last 72, 96 hours before yesterday, went back on their whole decision of Mason Greenwood, and actually, just giving up on the fact that he might return to the squad. So wo chala gaya, and it is being revealed ki which we were discussing indeed yesterday, जो एक statement निकाला था उन्होंने, वो एक fan intention test करने के purpose से निकाला था. And it might have been कि वो fan intention को test करने के purpose से ना भी निकाला हो, but it acted as a product tester. It acted as a sort of a fan tester, a fan backlash tester. And when we saw what happened at the Wolves game, outside Old Trafford, on social media, on news articles, United is very good at sniffing articles. Let's remember that. We are fucking amazing at sniffing articles, sniffing news articles. And we did that, and we absolutely went back on our steps, and we just never came back from that. And, welcome to Prakash Bhai, who says, Greenwood, please stay. Greenwood, please stay. I mean, ab to nahi lagta he'll actually stay, because the decision has been made. There is hope, you can never say never in football, because ho sakta hai kuch saal baad we actually come on to buy him, and he would be one who might be thinking about returning, or would he be one jo ठुकरा के मेरा प्यार मेरा इंतकाम देखेगी वाला route ले लेगा, and he'd actually go on and score some wonder goals and a wonder number of goals for other teams, and he might never want to return to Manchester United, because in a statement at least he has said that there's a part which will always remain United. I expected more than that. I expected many parts of you to still remain United, but as luck, as fate, luck, whatever you'd call it, as the investigation would have it, to Manchester United mein nahi hai. And now there are reports coming out that apparently Steven Gerrard, slipsy. So the case is slipped for Mason Greenwood, and Mr. Slippy J is actually wanting him to be at Saudi Arabian, at Al Ittifaq in the Saudi Arabian League, RSL, Rushifan Saudi League, or whatever that is called. So I mean, it's interesting to see. Maybe he pairs up with Steven Gerrard. You know what? It'll be the best thing for Manchester United right now, because the best thing for us would be getting off some cash for him. Getting off some, उसके लिए हमें जो पाई मिलेगा, वो हम FFP जो भी बकचोदी चल रही है हमारे एंड पे, उसको हम खत्म करने के लिए यूज करेंगे, and we'll actually use that money to get rid of that, and maybe just maybe look forward to buying something. Kushagra Bhai asked the same question. What do you think will be the new club of Mason Greenwood? We're going to come to that for sure. But as I said, we might use all of that money. Now, as I said, aaj mein ya kal mein I expected United, maybe parson mein, maybe, in the coming time, I expected United to post one big story, either being run through news articles and stuff, or the app, or the club itself, one big story to sort of get our attention. Hum hate thoda is Greenwood story se, because that is the best thing they'd want. That is the best thing they'd want right now, and I believe wo aane wala hai. Maybe that could mean triggering, accelerating, looking out for signings, the Amrabads of this world, because Pavard, as I said, to haath se chala gaya. He's this close to joining Inter Milan, and I know it sucks. It was a player who wanted to join United. It was a player who wanted to leave Bayern Munich, and it was a player who we could have gotten for a decent ass price. He does play an aggressive RB wala role as well. He's defensively solid as well, and he can play centre back as well. both of which we would have required. We have had our doubts on Van Bissaka. Sometimes we want to switch. Sometimes, when Shaw is injured, Malacia maybe not wouldn't be up to speed. We switch out Dalo to left back. तब वो हमारे use आ सकता था. So we welcome Kamil Bhai to the show as well. He asked, do you think we'll sign a new player before the window shuts? I don't think. Well, I didn't think as well, Kamil Bhai, but as I said, ये Greenwood के आ जाने से, because this Glazers out wala scene also picks up any form of negativity at the club right now. Any iota of negativity right now just drives this Glazers out. हम कितना भी बोले कि even when Sir Alex was there and we were winning trophies, there was Glazer out movement. Of course it was. Of course there were banners inside Old Trafford and stuff, and the green and gold and stuff flying here and there. But remember, it's just human courtesy. It's just human nature. Whenever things go wrong, we focus more on the negatives. When we were getting Pogba's, and when Mourinho, when we got Pogba, Ibrahimovic, Mkhitaryan and stuff, there wasn't itna zyada Glazers out. When we spent, jab abhi hum 2-4 signings le rahe, there has been Glazers out. Don't get me wrong here. Don't take me as an ill intention ka banda for Glazers out and stuff, or against the fans and stuff. Of course not. But what I'm trying to say is, whenever there is a positive PR spinning around the club, obviously, suppose अगर 1 लाख fans United के, suppose अगर maybe दिल्ली में ही होंगे तो, but 1 लाख supposedly 1 लाख fans है अगर Manchester United के, so you'd say 99,000, or I'd say 1 लाख लोग Glazers out बोल रहे हैं if there is a negative story around. Suppose now we sign Rasmus Højlund and we sign Mason Mount. That number drastically reduces to 40-30,000, not because the 70,000 which are not saying continuously Glazers out are not Glazers out right now. It's just that they are Mount in, they are Højlund in, or they are whatever positive stories being spun that in. They rather focus on that than Glazers out zyada. Of course, they're still, if you ask them, would they want Glazers out? Obviously, everyone would. ऐसे अमित शाह ने कहा जान दे देंगे that meme of Amit Shah, क्या बात कर रहे हैं आप, जान दे देंगे. That's what that'll be the response of all United fans when asked about Glazers out. But when there's a positive PR spin, and in the same way, if there are 80,000 fans on a neutral day saying Glazers out, it'll be 1 लाख में से मैं कहता हूँ 1.5 लाख लोग चिल्लाएंगे, एक इंसान 2 बार ट्वीट करके चिल्लाएगा Glazers out when there is a negative PR around the club. That's the difference, and this is what is happening. We saw the Glazers out, Glazers sell wala protest thoda sa dumbed down as the Premier League was starting. There were new sort of beginnings. We bought in Højlund, we got Onana, then there was stuff about Harry Maguire leaving, then McTominay leaving and stuff. So it sort of got in thoda chup. But now that we have lost a game, Maguire is not going, McTominay is not going, right? Greenwood is not coming back, and then there has been this whole shift in momentum about the club and the positivity or the negativity around it. Now there is yet again SJR, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, the Qataris, the whole bit, the whole sort of takeover news coming back again and again to the fray of the front. So that is what the Glazers don't want. That's why I believe really that kuch na kuch upcoming days mein hone wala hai. As far as Greenwood and what the future for him holds, see, we don't yet have clarity about that. We don't have clarity about the fact that where is he going to go, what will be the mode of his deportation, because not deportation exactly, but his exit from the club. Now, yeah, of course. Manish Bhai says now fans are calling for Arnold's head. Exactly, man, exactly. It had to be around the corner. Arnold तो बेचारा अपनी तरफ से आया, मैं आपको अपना हूँ, और it's an open letter for you guys. An open letter जड़ के चाटा दिया Manchester United fans ने, and the next morning, the first news that comes out is the fact that they are calling for his head. How ironical is that? But it's expected. It's absolutely expected. As I said, I actually believe club ने अच्छा किया. I actually believe not by suspending Greenwood stuff. I was for Greenwood coming back, to be honest. I mean, in whichever way they actually handled the whole situation, मेरे हिसाब से club ने अच्छा किया. मेरे हिसाब से it could have been way worse. And having the track record that Manchester United has, I think it could have been way worse. But वो नहीं हुआ. जितना हो सकता था वो नहीं हुआ. But there were no winners, as I've been continuously saying. So the fact that उनकी product testing उनके काम आ गई, because the product they were about to launch would have backfired on them. But testing हो गई तो उनने पहले उसे पीछे ले लिया उस decision को. But that has also generated a lot of anger amongst the fans जिनको लग रहा था, like if you remember our stream when the first statement came out, we were like, ये आने वाला है, it's almost a here we go for Greenwood. But he didn't because it was a shock for all of us. that एकदम से स्टेटमेंट आई, because they just उनने वो कहते हैं ना उसको मौसम पहचान लिया, कि ये मौसम क्या चल रहा है, ये हवा किस चीज की चल रही है, as they say in politics, हवा किसकी चल रही है. Yeah, so that happened, and they just took the decision there. Prakash Bhai says Greenwood mat jao, and we had a lot of Greenwood yesterday as well with us. So there are a lot of fans. There are a lot of Greenwood fans here. Here since 87 and kicked out when the court settled the case. Yeah, man. I mean, it's as ironical as that sounds, and as I said, as the years will roll by, as time will pass, this case in history would get uglier and uglier, because जितना हम टाइम में दूर जाते एक चीज से, उतना फैक्ट्स डिटीरियरेट और डिस्टॉर्ट और मतलब बेसिकली होने लग जाते हैं, बिकॉज आप जूम आउट करते रहते हैं पिक्चर से. जब आप जूम्ड इन होते हो तो आप उसकी निटिग्रिटी, आप उसके फैक्टर्स कंसिडर करते हो कि अच्छा ये था, अच्छा ये था, अच्छा ये था, इसलिए ब्लैक एंड व्हाइट नहीं है सब कुछ. बट जितना आप जूम आउट करते रहते हो, आप उतना ब्लैक व्हाइट आप देखने लग जाते हो. सो इन हिस्ट्री इट माइट बी रिमेंबर्ड एज कि जब उस पे केस चल रहा था, यूनाइटेड डिड नॉट सस्पेंड हिम. जब उस पे केस हट गया, Nike wanted him back. Maybe the players wanted him back. Maybe the club wanted him back. और case settle हो गया. उनने family साथ की. He's a father now. They announced that he's a father now. And the club actually said that, obviously they did not say, but they said they've concluded the whole thing and they're going to give the decision. तो तब लगा वो आने वाला है. And apart from that, then he was kicked out. So in history, he might be remembered as कि जब वो suspended था, जब उस पे case चल रहा था, when he could have actually been in jail and stuff, तब वो suspend नहीं हुआ. But when he got cleared of it, if I may call it cleared, then he was actually suspended by the club. So it'll be full of irony in history. And as we said, जितना हम दूर zoom out करते रहेंगे, उतना facts distort होते जाएंगे. Now, if we come, as I said, if we come to the fact कि what is best for the club right now, I think best for the club is that ये जाएगा ही जाएगा. We can't do anything about it. We have to accept it. Now जाएगा, तो may as well give us some good transfer fee. Because there were reports, don't forget, it was the Telegraph or was it the Sun, something saying that as soon as this statement came out, or even before, in clubs के अपने में तो चलता ही रहता होगा, before this came out, उनका phone continuously ring कर रहा था, and I'm sure Greenwood would have had many proposals as well. See, it's hard for me to imagine now, straight out of United, maybe एक दो transfers बाद, quote unquote, अच्छे clubs उस पे आई रखना चालू करेंगे, but एकदम United से खरीद लेना would be a risky move for any big recognized club, obviously, in terms of his footballing ability, but also in terms of his potentially damaging PR reputation. But Saudi ko kya? Saudi to ekdam mast hai. Saudi is clear of all of this, and it could be the best thing for our club as well, because you know what? When Saudi pays, they pay a fuckload of cash. So, we might as well maybe get 20, 30 out of him, which I don't think we're going to get anyway if any other club, because remember, we are backing him to be a Greenwood of 1.5 years ago, 1 year ago, 1.5 years ago. We are not backing him to be a Greenwood of who we don't know wo kaisa hoga. So that is very interesting to actually observe. कि हम सोच तो रहे कि ये अच्छा है, but is he really the Greenwood who's the best finisher ever? Is he really the Greenwood who's in a mental state to play football the way it is meant to be played, is in uski full intensity, uski full, quote unquote atrociousness bhi kuch players ko jo strike karti hai. There will be a target on his head forever, at least for this season. मतलब वो कुछ भी करेगा, his footballing ability will be judged. Like there would be stupid people who would go out and now would mix his football with his normal life and with his personal life, और एकदम उस पे झपट्टा मारेंगे, अरे इसके लिए किया क्या, अरे thank God United sacked him. Even United fans who were actually who were supporting the decision of Greenwood getting sacked will actually go out and actually betray their, I won't say their own player because he's no more, but you know what I mean when I say their own player, because they'd go out, जिस भी club में वो जाएगा, वो अपनी टट्टी जरूर फैलाएंगे. They would go out and absolutely bash him, the people who wanted Greenwood out. And there are sections of our fan base that are like that, which is a sad reality, but it is what it is, as they say. But yeah, ABY says Starboy indeed, man, Starboy indeed. हमने तो वो कोट भी किसी और को दे दिया, हमने वो टाइटल भी अब अलेहांद्रो गार्नाचो को दे दिया. But I think the OG Starboy is one and only Mason Greenwood, who is not at the club. So I don't know, is Starboy का सपना Starboy ही रह जाएगा? Which, but as we said in football, you can never say never. Anyways, so now Al Ittihad are interested. As I said, Slippy G wants him here. Then our old boss Jose Mourinho might be looking to take a punt. Although in my particular opinion, I don't think that's going to happen. Because as I said, old, traditional, reputed European clubs. I don't think they're going to take a punt on him. Maybe the Atlantas of this world can, but the Romas, the Milans, the Lazios, maybe even Lazio, but the Milans and the Juventuses, the Romas of this world, maybe who knows? Maybe in Italy, life's different, because one thing's for sure, he's not staying in England, and he shouldn't. Please, he shouldn't. One of the fears, even when I was thinking कि ये वापस आएगा, and do let me know in the chat down below, in the live chat down below, कि आप लोगों को क्या लगता है, like what was your first reaction when you saw the first statement coming out? Like आप लोग को लगा था कि वो वापस आने वाला है, or did you think this was going to happen? Like what did you think? What was your first reaction when you saw that first statement go out? Because according to me, he was 100% going to be back. And when I thought of him being back, मेरी फटरी थी thinking about what's going to happen. What is going to happen when he travels to away English stadiums? क्या होगा उसको तो गाली दे देंगे, खा जाएंगे लोग. People would absolutely eat him up alive, and that was one of my biggest fears when I was looking at Greenwood's return. And I was like, they'd make songs, they'd tease the shit out of him. मतलब उसका Greenwood is a chore, la 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 la. Greenwood is a पुलिस के पास जाएगा, डंडे खाएगा, and stuff like that. There'll be songs made about him in a jiffy, and we know English stadiums could be loud and dark for a player when things are not going right, and especially away football stadiums. Away छोड़ो, हमारा खुद का stadium was singing Greenwood, we know what you did. Greenwood, we know what you did, wala gana. So imagine Old Trafford mixing up actually with the away crowd, and both of them pelting verbal stones on Greenwood. So that could have been a bit jittery for him. So that is why thoda sa jittery kya, it would have been a lot of jitteriness for him. But as I said, I think Italy mein life would be different. So I don't think there's any chance for him to stay in England, and he shouldn't. So Great Britain, Scotland, ye sab bhi nahi. I think he needs to go into maybe a top 5 league, maybe Spain nahi to Italy. I think Italy seems to be the safest of the choices, and maybe Genoa. I know it's in France, I guess, Rennes. So maybe wahan par kahin. Jeremy Doku, by the way, has agreed his transfer, and here we go, ho chuka hai. 60 million ke around for him to Man City, and I think he was an ex-Rennes player as well. So maybe usko replace kar le, right wing pe chale ja Greenwood. Greenwood goes there for 15 million odd, and they replace Jeremy Doku with Greenwood. How ironical would that be? Because he's coming to Manchester City. Finally, for once, by the way, I'm happy Manchester City have seemingly overpaid for a player, because Jeremy Doku, I think they've almost done a United kind of a signing, but they had to do a United kind of a signing because they had to sell Riyad Mahrez. And Pep ne khud bola कि everyone is anti-Saudi, but जब clubs के पास Saudi के offers आते हैं, each and every one of their players become on sale. Like the untouchables, the quote-unquote untouchable players also become on sale when Saudi comes knocking. And Pep Guardiola ne bola. And that is what happened with Riyad Mahrez. I don't think itni koi need थी Riyad Mahrez ke nikalne ki, but I don't remember the fee, but वो decent fee में चला गया. So they're obviously Cole Palmer, by the way, what a player. And I don't know. I don't want to go much into City, but my God, like what is their academy doing? They're selling uncapped championship, maybe uncapped players. Matlab, they are selling for 10, 15, 20 million. James Trafford they've sold to Burnley for 18 million with a 20% sell-on clause and also a buyback clause. And he hasn't even played a game. Forget about in the Premier League or with Man City. Not even in the Championship, and now he's a Premier League goalkeeper. He might have all of that ability, but to sell him for 18 fucking million. I mean, हम तो 18 million में हमने Fred तक नहीं बेचा. Could you imagine that? Could you fucking imagine that? We 18 million, शायद 1-2 million का maybe उसमें add-on है. I'm not sure, but अगर नहीं है, 18 million is just 12 million less than what we were actually taking for Harry Maguire, and उसमें से ही हम उसको compensation में निकाल के दे रहे थे 6 million का. Sorry. Yeah. So as I was saying, I mean, what is Man City's academy smoking? I have no clue. But now again, as I was saying, maybe he could take us, Jeremy Doku se main thoda deflect ho gaya, but as I was saying, maybe he could take a safe bet in a lower-ish French club. Maybe he could even try Division 2. I think, man, I was thinking over it. And I think somehow Division 2 would make a bit of sense for Greenwood, because Division 2 mein itna coverage nahi hai. And I think he really needs that lack of coverage. He really needs that lack of eyeballs on him. He only needs eyeballs for all the right reasons. Maybe he's up there. He scores 20-30 goals in the second division. Maybe he stays another season there. He scores maybe 10-15 till January. Then he transfers to a decent mid-level first division club, or maybe gets that second division club promoted first and then maybe plays in the first division wholly itself. He does that and then maybe gets a move to a top club and then returns back to Manchester United and fucks up Rooney's record. All right, no, I'm kidding. We don't know what's gonna happen about that, but jokes aside, maybe that happens. So there's a lot to be discussed, there's a lot to be unfolded, and as I said, Manchester United ka transfer news was a bit haywire today in the sense ki kuch news aa rahi thi, but some sort of news which doesn't really excite me, doesn't really fill me up with optimism, because I don't think many of them are as close as maybe some of the journalists are pointing out. Now they're saying Manchester, they're already keeping us till January, for fuck's sake. They're already saying that we might look out for Ivan Toney. I mean, really do you think that's going to happen? I'd be shocked. I'd be more shocked than I was yesterday when this Greenwood statement came out. After the Greenwood saga, from one suspended player to another, do you really think we're going to go down that road? I don't think for 1 second that we're going to go down that road, because you know what? Agar hum January tak first of all ek striker nahi kharidte hain with what we have, which we most probably won't, which is the baddest and the worst thing. We won't most probably sign a striker till January or whatever. January, maybe next season tak or whatever. But the shitty options that we have right now, obviously Højlund is there and he would come up and bolster our chances, but he fucking has an injury right now and he'd have his first season. Wo khud ek bachcha hai. He'd maybe need time to settle in. Or agar nahi bhi lagega, wo bura bhi khelta hai, we'd have to give him time to settle in, because he's not Haaland, he's Højlund. Remember, he's not Haaland, he's Højlund. So all we can hope is Martial thodi si apni chopstick legs, hamstrings ko thoda bacha ke rakhta hai. Maybe Rashford, when he is actually played in the number 9 position, for fuck's sake, does give us some more productivity than he actually gave us against in the Spurs game. So that'll be the hope and the prayer for the number 9 spot. Apart from that, as I was saying, Ivan Toney, I don't think he really comes up anywhere near Manchester United, because I think he straight away goes back into Brentford and then maybe he moves out from there. Maybe if he doesn't go to Brentford, he goes to another Premier League team, or again, he too might opt for a foreign visit there as well. So apart from that, there is Ryan Gravenberch, who's obviously been linked to us, and I think yet again it's a player who wants to leave the club. Bayern Munich are still two-faced and sort of double-minded about maybe wanting Gravenberch to leave or not, but he is there for the taking. But I don't think it's as close as people are thinking, or some people are getting mato excited, dil aur tootega, because Donny van de Beek, Brandon Williams, दोनों का, although Ten Hag ने बोल दिया कि they want to leave and they are close to leaving, not close to leaving, but we are looking for them to leave. We haven't been able to fucking agree anything. There isn't even एक सुई तक नहीं हिल रही about Donny van de Beek and Real Sociedad. Apparently पहले एक permanent move था, फिर एक loan move हो रहा है. अब तो कुछ बात ही नहीं हो रही about Donny van de Beek and Real Sociedad. So I think that is dead deep into the waters, because हमें तो कुछ सुनाई नहीं दे रहा. Maybe through the end of the window, जैसे वो Everton भाग गया था, last में window के, maybe something like that happens, and we actually think about then replacing or getting a midfielder, because you know what, our Mexos is not going anywhere, neither is Donny van de Beek, at least till now. So who the fuck are we going to sign and how the fuck are we going to sign them? Because do we really need to clutter the shit out of our midfield, because हमारे पास पैसे ही नहीं है. Hence why the whole Greenwood thing comes up. And all of this combines and just tells us that what was the club doing? Are we really into the season so close to being a mess already? Are we in a crisis already? Or am I trying to oversell it? I don't think I'm trying to oversell it, and I think crisis would be a big word, but I do think about the fact that it's poor management yet again from the United's management. I think it's poor management about the fact that हमारी signings अभी तक ready नहीं है, हमारी outgoings as usual sort नहीं हो पा रही. I don't know what the fuck do we want by selling McTominay for 70, God forbid, touchwood, God forbid, him for 70, 45 million. I don't think that works out in any fucking footballing world. Any club won't even give an inch of 45, So, yeah. Manish Bhai is still on Greenwood. He's still saying, bro, please bring back that. Bhai, I wish यार मैं उठा के ले आता उसे, उठा के जहां भी उसका घर है, चेशायर, जो भी उसे कहते हैं, जहां भी उसका घर है, मैं उठा के डाल देता यार उसे अपने ला कैरिंगटन में. But there's little as fans what we can do. As a great gentleman in yesterday's stream said, bhai, चूतिया हम fans का ही करता है मनीष भाई. It's our players who we love. We as fans are not being paid and stuff. हम लोग अपना समय एकदम डालते हैं इस club में. We do get the utmost joy out of it as well, but it also provides us with the utmost sorrow. So that's why bro चूतिया हमारा ही करता है. I wish we could bring Greenwood back, and people who were Greenwood in and Greenwood के साथ वो जो emotional trust और support था, they all wanted Greenwood to be here. But as we said, man, Greenwood का पत्ता साफ हो चुका है, in all honesty now at United, at least for a decent time being. So there isn't much we can do about it, yeah, Manish bhai. But as I said, man, if there was one thing which we needed in this team was as deadly a striker as Greenwood could have been or would have been or wasn't, at least in terms of his finishing, but it was not meant to be for us. But man, yeah, as I was saying, Gravenberch ke bare mein, I think it's United's name being again used to drive up a transfer by Gravenberch's agency. Maybe it was Amrabat's agency as well, who was trying to take up Manchester United and Liverpool as a whole to actually drive up, maybe stiff up some competition between Liverpool and United. Liverpool एकदम से shut down after the Wataru Endo deal, and उनका Amrabat का link चल रहा था. I think it could have well been yet again, Liverpool's name being taken to shake us Manchester United fans up for the signing of Amrabat. And Amrabat, by the way, as I've said countless times in my videos, वैसे हाथ खोल के खड़ा है. He's all dress up. He's all ready to join Manchester United, but we for fuck's sake can't sell. And we always seem to have this policy of sell to buy. हम बेचेंगे ना तो भी खरीद पाएंगे. I don't know what, man. You offer. I think this is a strategy. I was also reading it somewhere, and I was also talking about it somewhere. I think it's an FFP loophole that Chelsea is basically right now. I'm sorry for that. Chelsea is right now basically exploiting in terms of giving 7-8 year contract deals to their players, and then in turn being able to register so many signings, even on the wage bill, but also in terms of the transfer fee that they are giving shitloads of money to the clubs. So yeah, man. Kshitij bhai, welcome. He says, fucking FSG policy worshipping. Man, yeah, I mean, FSG, you know what, in terms of वैल्यू फॉर मनी, जिसे कहते हैं ना, जैसे हम आजकल खाने एफएमसीजी प्रोडक्ट्स में पीछे देखते हैं, लाइक कुरकुरे अगर 20 रुपए का और 60 ग्राम है, जैसे पर ग्राम का रुपया लिखा होता है, लाइक कि पर ग्राम आपको कितने पैसे का पड़ रहा है. आई थिंक इफ वी लुक एट दैट पर ग्राम वाला वैल्यू, आई थिंक एफएसजी इज फकिंग अमेजिंग टू व्हाट दे हैव नेट स्पेंट. आई थिंक दे हैव won the world, man. मतलब उनका जो पूरा सीन है, they're ready to spend whenever they want to. They have that sort of money, that leverage to spend, but they don't they are miser fucking spenders, but they are brilliant spenders as well. So that is the turning point for Liverpool, and that is obviously Klopp factor and this factor of the fact कि maybe अगर पैसे ना खर्च रहे हैं, इनकी साइनिंग्स इतनी ज्यादा बुलजाई होती है कि बुलजाई शर्मा जाए. मतलब bullseye concept ही इनकी साइनिंग से निकला होगा. Maybe now the fact that they've gotten Szoboszlai and Wataru Endo and McAllister for so fucking cheap. I think कुल मिला के 90 million भी नहीं इनने spend किया, and they've essentially got 3 of their midfield back. Obviously they're lacking in the midfield, and I know all of that, but बहस की आंख to get these 3 players. And Wataru Endo, people are sleeping on him. I was talking about him on one of the streams, and I'll just pull up his his stats once again, and I hope I do find them. Yeah, so it's his stats from the Bundesliga 20 to 21 season से लेकर अभी तक. So we are in the 23-24 season. That is essentially 3 fucking years. So ये one season wonder वाला scene नहीं चल रहा Wataru Endo का. By the way, Stuttgart, one of the most legendary historic clubs in Germany, का captain है. He's not just any other. Yeah, Japani है, उठा के लिया है Anfield. No, he is the fucking captain of Stuttgart. So we have basically gone on. Not we. I wish we could have been doing signings like Wataru Endo actually. How much have they paid for him? Less than 20 million? Less than 15 million? I don't remember. So the stats are of him amongst midfielders in Bundesliga since the start of 2021. Note, it's been 3 years because it's 23-24 now. So it's most possession won in defensive third. Wataru Endo in midfielders of Bundesliga has won the most number of possession in the defensive third. Not even Joshua Kimmich has done that. Most aerial duels won, 219. Most clearances amongst midfielders in Bundesliga for the past 3 seasons, for the past 3 years, I should say, because this season nahi hua. Second most touches. Now comes the offensive part of it. These 3 were the defensive stats of him. Second most passes completed. Fucking hell. second most possession won in the middle third of the pitch. How cool is that? Final third, middle third, dono mein most number of possessions won is Wataru Endo. Second most tackles have that. That is Wataru Endo for you. What a gem of a signing. Oh, he works out or not. Well, he would be value for fucking money, let me tell you that, because these stats are no joke. He has been named. He's a Japanese. There aren't too many Asian players in the circuit. There isn't. अभी ये कोई समय नहीं आया कि 1,000 Asian players खेल रहे हैं यूरोप में. So for someone to be a captain of a club as big as Stuttgart is actually a big deal. And then for him to be leading, not just defensive statistics, by the way, he seems to be like a toned down version of Fabinho, to be honest. When obviously Fabinho was at its peak, maybe he could have been better. Obviously, I won't compare Wataru Endo to Fabinho. But Fabinho has his defensive thing absolutely sorted, and then he's a cool, collected, calm presence on the ball. See, his aggressive stats are not like passes into the final third or chances created and stuff, but his passes are of someone who can move the ball very swiftly, very fluently, because it's the most second most passes completed and second the most and the second most passes completed. So I mean, that is fucking amazing, isn't it? That is fucking amazing. So yeah, the president of Al Ittihad, Anwar Al Khalili, met in London with Gabriel as negotiations between the club. Oh my goodness. Is it Gabriel Magahesh? Because you know what? On one side, there is the fucking Mikel Arteta was saying that he's untouchable. But remember, he got left out of the squad. Obviously, a manager won't come out and say that iski wo chal rahi hai. But if they do end up fucking, giving him a Boeing jet, I'm sure he'll go as well. And if they fucking offer 80, 90 million to Arsenal, I think they'd be open to selling him. Apologies again. But yeah, as I said, you know what? I'd be freaking BRR. Maybe it's the Bleachers report that Kushagrabai is actually commenting on or actually sharing with us. Saudi Pro League OP. OP indeed, by they're absolutely attacking and they're absolutely demolishing whatever is coming in front of their way with cash, with pure, rich, raw cash. Maybe आ जाए ISL में UPI लेके ले भैंस की आंख अनवर अली to Al Ittifaq एकदम 2.5 करोड़ में UPI पेटीएम फटाक संदेश जिंगन to Al Ittihad 3 करोड़ पेटीएम UPI खटाक सुनील छेत्री to nowhere. भारत माता की जय फिर सुनील छेत्री. But Saudi is fucking on a run, isn't it? Aymeric Laporte going to Al Nassr, Sadio Mane, Cristiano Ronaldo, and Aymeric Laporte. That's United, Liverpool, and City playing in one freaking team. Eric Ten Hag, please wake up. Yaar, utha hua yaar. Prakash bhai, aise kya keh rahe ho? Although I was going to discuss some of the shortcomings that I found about Eric Ten Hag as well. This is not a bashing session for Eric Ten Hag, which I will go on. But it's a rather from what I experienced and what I noted in the games. And I also did a couple of, I also did some research, read some articles here and there. And I tried to sort of cross-verify what I saw in the games. And I think it has been noticed by a lot of these channels. This Tifo Football Athletic has also pointed out about the same thing as well. So I am a nobody in terms of tactical analysis and stuff. मैं तो एक कीड़ा हूँ इस sense में, because and I तो claim मुझे football भी ढंग से देखना नहीं आता. I claim that. But to be sort of being validated by these athletics, I think that gives me a standpoint to stand on. But now it's not a league of me. It's a league of the tactics I was going to talk about. But yeah, I don't think he's awake per se, Prakash bhai. I think he probably seems asleep right now because थोड़ी सी tactics डामाडोल हो रही है, थोड़ा सा performances डामाडोल हो रहे हैं. Don't forget, we did somehow manage to win the first game. So all is not that bad. At least we have 3 points more than what we had last season at this particular time. So we are moving great if you take it as a positive. But we went on a decent run for the next 36 games. After that, are we able to match that or not? That only time will tell. But as I was saying, so talking about Ten Hag ki tactics and what I think went wrong. See, Ten Hag at Ajax is really being sort of misused in terms of अरे ये तो United पे नहीं करा. And even I have talked about कि उसकी tactics क्या है, what is his style of play, what is he trying to make us do and stuff. But I think it's not as easy as it looks, because then some people are misquoting it as कि अरे यार Ajax में तो ये ऐसे attack करता था, Ajax में तो भाई there was Ulreich, there was Twente, there was PSV Eindhoven and teams like that who used to fucking dominate, who used to fucking in the Eredivisie. But this is not the Eredivisie. This is the fucking Premier League that we are talking about. So he's not going to come out and dominate every game here. And I think, and he has been quoted on record saying that he wants to make Manchester United the best, the best transition team in the whole universe. So I mean, it's not a small deal to do that. So that basically tells us that he's not really looking for us to make us of that style of play. He wants us to be a great transition team. And how can we be a transition team is actually by having a good press, and that is what we effectively did against Spurs as well. Now coming on to the positive side of it, first half I would say we were slightly the better team. Some people are again going overboard and saying हमने तो मार डाला था स्पर्स को, स्पर्स की तो हमने पोटी निकाल दी थी, it should have game over. And no, we had the chances, but yet again it wasn't a dominant. Yes, we had an XG, but much of it was coming from Tottenham mistakes, defensive trans. Obviously I'm going to dissect the game because I want to see a complete United performance from the fact that we are creating our own chances. Obviously, we are being aided by the opposition, but I would rather focus more on us trying to build rather than opposition gifting us. So if I talk about that, I don't usually mention, opposing teams actually making mistakes, but I do here because it's very important to think about the fact that अगर हम solely खुद पे देखें, I do believe we were a bit better in the first half than Tottenham Hotspur, and we obviously should have gone on into the lead. But don't forget, we were again poor on the defensive transition. Now, if you have to be the best transitional team in the world, so basically what a transition team is, दो तरीके के ट्रांजिशन होते हैं. एक ट्रांजिशन होता है जो आपका प्रॉपर ओल्ड स्कूल ट्रांजिशन होता है. बेसिकली आप अपने डीप बैठे हो, आप एक प्रॉपर सपोज वेस्ट ब्रॉमिच एल्बियन ले लो पुराने दिनों की, क्वींस पार्क रेंजर्स, रेडिंग ले लो, शेफील्ड वेंसडे ले लो पुराने टाइम की. बेसिकली these small clubs, when they used to face big clubs, how they used to soak pressure and then futting like a balloon, maybe something countering and then bursting in onto the face. That's like a counter attack wala transition. Then there is the second kind of a transition. There's also a third kind of a transition in the market, which is a fake transition, which teams like Brighton are playing, wherein they create an overload. They almost make a counter attack by themselves having the ball. Like उनके पास खुद के पास ball है, but they would invite players to press them. Otherwise, they won't leave their half, and they'd keep their feet on the ball. And ऐसे वाली tactics they'd use, basically having the possession of the ball with one player for more time, so that they draw players and then creating a fake overload on the other side. So it almost creates a fake transition. Transition usually जब opposition के पास ball है, but this fake one is actually when you have the ball and you draw in the opposition. So it almost feels like a counter attack when they themselves had the ball in the defense. But if we talk about a real transition, the second one, which we actually play about is, so again, if we look at pressing, ये थोड़ा सा ध्यान से सुनना, it might bore the shit out of you, but pressing. Now again, एक normal pressing होती है, एक gegen pressing हो गई, आपकी press एकदम दबा दिया, ठीक है, आपने एकदम pitch को छोटा करते गए. Then there is this Guardiola style of pressing that you press in terms of space and stuff. Then comes the third kind of pressing, which is man-to-man pressing, and that is the kind of pressing which is usually taken when we talk about transition football. So this is what we are doing. So I wish I had a proper sort of a tactical board to maybe show you this. But what we basically do is we have man-to-man, our striker, our wingers, whatever shape an opposition takes, we preempt that. If we don't preempt that, Ten Hag has been very good mid-game in terms of switching to that. If the preemption actually goes bad, because the basics are the same, they have to go man for man, then they have to cover the spaces, they have to chota karna hai pitch ko, not as much as the gegen pressing, but still chota karna hai pitch ko. Rafael Varane, Martinez, on their striker or on their wingers, and maybe then Luke Shaw maybe tucking in on their aggressive midfielder, attacking midfielder, which is James Maddison in this time, and then maybe their wingers being drawn by our fullbacks and stuff. So ऐसे करके. But if you talk about how we set up, as I said, man to man हम आगे pressing में रहेंगे, and अगर हम shape opposition की गलत predict करते हैं, we do tweak that, and mid game we actually go man to man, however it's supposed to be. But something interesting to see because, yeah, Apologies for the delay there. Apologies for the disturbance. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so if I was continuing the way I was, yeah. So what usually happens in the second half is tactical managers. So basically, Ange Postecoglou, just a tactical manager, hai, and he's come out of the back of managing Celtic and getting Celtic back on their, knocking Rangers off their effing perch this time, as I would say. But what he actually did, and he was successful in doing, was creating an atmosphere of attacking football. Now we know Ange Postecoglou, he would go all out attacking if he would. Like he would absolutely draw the bonkers out of the opposing clubs when he would attack. So what he did was he did a couple of tactical tweaks. What James Maddison was doing, he was in the center and he was absolutely being monitored by Luke Shaw, either Luke Shaw or Casemiro or whatever space he was taking. What they did was they actually shifted players from their midfield, Pape Matar, James Maddison, and most of them all, and I think the man of the match and the most important player for Tottenham, Yves Bissouma, out on the wings. He stretched them out. He absolutely stretched them out, and then his wingers actually tucked in. They became the center of the attraction, and we got bonker कि अच्छा हमारे साइड वाले बीच में आ गए तो बीच वाले साइड में आ गए, then यहाँ की gap रह गई. So our central defenders got stretched out, and that left Casemiro exposed. So the people who are criticizing Casemiro, which I was, it's fair criticism, but the people who are going overboard, remember, a great tactical tweak by Ange Postecoglou, the same as which was by Gary O'Neill when he, used Matthew Cunha to a great effect by actually not just using him as a striker, but a floating sort of a guy. And same with Matthew Nunez to actually shift him from midfield to the wings and then attacking us in the way, because देखो अगर वो विंग्स पे ही रहे, अगर विंगर्स विंग पे रहेंगे तो हमारे जो फुल बैक्स है या फिर हमारे हम वी हैव द ब्रूनोस ऑफ दिस वर्ल्ड एंड माउंट जो हमारे 2 नंबर 8 से, दे वुड प्रेस अप हाई और वो उस पे जाएंगे. रैशफोर्ड बीच में रहेगा सेंटर बैक्स के, दोनों सेंटर बैक्स के, तो वो पासिंग लेन्स कट आउट करते हैं. अगर सेंटर बैक ज्यादा वाइड है तो हमारे नंबर 8 आगे पुश करेंगे, देन हमारे विंगर्स हम दो सेंटर बैक्स को पकड़ के रखेंगे और हम कीपर को चार्ज करेंगे. उनके विंग बैक को पीछे आना पड़ेगा, तो दे विल बी स्टक इन दिस लूप. But what teams are doing against Ten Hag, and this needs to be sorted out pretty quickly, because we have been praising Ten Hag for his in-game management, but इस बार उसकी in-game management थोड़ी सी short रह गई, because it was Ange Postecoglou who got the most better of him. And the surprising fact for me was he couldn't really transition himself. He tried bringing on Martial, and then that also changed the dynamics. Not just the fact that Rashford left पे जा पाया, or was it did Rashford also switch? But it wasn't just for the fact कि आगे लोग switch हो रहे. It was also about the fact कि now we had someone who was dropping in deep and actually could help us out with the press, which seemed a bit haywire. But till then it was too late, and we were just, and to be honest, if अगर ये सब भी गलत जाए, बस एक चीज सही हो जाए, that we win the fucking second balls, we look like a team who wants to win. We give it our all. We have that tenacity, that intensity. I was really missing a Fred in the 2 games. I mean, you know what? We've sold Fred and stuff, but I stood for it. People may call me negative, people may call me regressive, progressive nahi hai, regressive hai, but I always wanted McTominay to fuck off way early than Fred. Let me know in the comments, did you guys also believe that McTominay shouldn't have been here at all in comparison to Fred? Matlab, like even Ten Hag, like the way he used Fred last season, I think it was about the fact that maybe Fred wanted to play more, or he got decent offers since the start of the window itself, because he seemed destined to go from the minute we stepped onto the field in the preseason. So it was almost like it was decided कि इसने तो जाना ही जाना है. But I was not really happy with him actually leaving before McTominay. But as they say, जो होना था वो हो गया. But yeah, I mean, McTominay वहाँ पर I really missed Fred, because his tenacity is I would also use the word audacity, like 5 foot 2 inch का एक player होता है, वहाँ पे 6 foot की player, he just bumps into them and he just tackles them way hard, and it's actually great for us of giving us that boost. Maybe him with Casemiro sometimes, maybe Bruno on the wing later in the game. It's not about him starting and stuff. Maybe later in the game, and then actually making us a worthwhile team to watch, because we certainly weren't one when we last witnessed our game against, obviously, Tottenham Hotspur. So that was that one tactical tweak which I would, as I pointed out, because I think वो तो था that he got tactically outclassed by Ange Postecoglou. Now we do face, Nottingham Forest. There are bits of reports which are maybe suggesting that Rasmus Højlund could be back. maybe obviously not as a starter, obviously not as a starter, but maybe he'd be in the setup, maybe he'd be in contention to at least be in the traveling squad. So there are some jitters about that as well in the English press here and there. We'll obviously get more clarity as days advance, and obviously Eric Ten Hag talks about in his pre-match press conference. So we'll obviously get more about that there. In terms of our signings, as I said, Maguire sets. Obviously, I'm right now talking about the outgoings as well. Transfer window as a whole. Maguire is looking set to stay another year at Manchester United. As shit, dull and dumb as that sounds, see, there is a big chance, and by a big chance, I mean 25-30%, maybe 20-25% only, that Maguire does end up leaving Manchester United. But then again, I think it's worthwhile discussion about having him there or not, because one a year is not that much of money. Maybe maybe around in and about 35-40 million, because 40 million may say maybe then we give him 10 million as a payout, and then he gets whatever he gets as wage from the other club, because I don't think he'll get an offer from a club that can afford anywhere near his 200k ka salary. Maybe he settles down for fucking 150, and then 50 ka jo bhi uska hisab ban raha hai wo humse le lega. Whatever it is, I think it's going to be a mess coming to the end of the transfer window, and I think as always Manchester United would just, yeah, sadly be left out in the race for not just the championship as a whole, but also the transfer signings and stuff. Because you know what? Clubs have been splashing the cash. Clubs have been fucking splashing the cash this transfer market. And so have we. But it just again seems like a sour taste in our mouth that we yet again haven't been able to get all of what we wanted. And as usual, it's Manchester United who are being labeled as incompetent in the transfer window. And if we talk about incomings, Ryan Gravenberch, he looks like a possibility. Obviously, he does. There's no denying that. So does Sofian Amrabat. Till the last day, there'll be a possibility. And I can see it very well dragging to the last day, conflicting reports. एक दिन होने वाला है एक दिन, अरे नहीं होगा, अब हट गया, दूसरा क्लब आ गया, या फिर he has decided to stay at Fiorentina slash जो भी दूसरा player है, he has decided to stay at his club and stuff. But I just believe कि एकदम end तक जाएगा, and it will go down to the wire, and it will go away from joining Inter Milan. So I don't think it's a worthwhile discussion about having him there or not, because वो नहीं होगा, वो basically नहीं होगा हमारा signing, and he's gone. Maybe Tapsoba and stuff like that. There were again itsees and bitsies about Marco Verratti, but हम वो early से नहीं गया, so I don't think anywhere he's going to come anywhere near Manchester United. In terms of Kushagrabai again helps us out with the news report. He says Manchester United have explored a loan with obligation to buy deal for Ryan Gravenberch. It's again the Muppeteers, not your bestest source to for Manchester United news, but obviously, if we talk about the fact that just give me a second, guys. Yeah, it's the Muppeteers news that I was reading here as well. But yeah, again, it's the Muppeteers, as much as discredit or whatever you want to give it to them, but they don't seem like an organization that would हमें कुछ positive PR चाहिए after this Greenwood bullshit house. So maybe we want that. Let's see about that. So yeah, I mean that is the whole roundup. So talking about Greenwood, I think again to summarize up, he's gone from the club. There's not much more on that we can say. Obviously, there are still reports coming out. There will still be, and we will cover them. Don't worry. About how the investigation went, and we might see an interview or two. Obviously, there is nothing in news or anything, and I hope he doesn't get into the news as much, obviously. But we never know, as we said, in the field of journalism, in the field of this media and stuff, and football as well, we never know what to expect. So we might have something there as well. But apart from that, I think Greenwood का हमें धीरे धीरे पता चलेगा, and as we keep knowing more and more and more, we'll come in contact with you more and more and more. So that's that. In terms of where Greenwood might go, how he would go, that's still a question. I don't think a loan for him would be something we'd be looking for because he has 2 years left on his contract. A loan actually makes him come back to us next year, and but nah, I don't think that's gonna happen. But yeah, there was also news that agar uska koi solution hum find nahi kar paए, maybe the clubs would be looking for a termination for Mason Greenwood because obviously he's not going to play for Manchester United. You can't sell him, so you won't freaking waste a year of his career yet again after what he has gone through. So I think that's that. Yeah, Kushagra comes up just before we wrap up with the news. As I was just supposing, that Rasmus Højlund would be included in the squad for the game against Nottingham Forest this weekend. So, I mean, that is a positive news. Obviously, that's a big positive for us Manchester United fans because whatever the stress fracture ने Højlund से ज़्यादा हमें stress दे दिया, to be honest. But it'll be interesting to see how he shapes up with the squad. We need some pictures for him in the first team and training with the first team and stuff. Once we have that, we move on to him being selected in the squad. And then maybe जो हमें मार्शियल भाई साहब को लाना पड़ रहा है अभी 70वें मिनट में. As Roykin rightly mentioned, you may as well bring on Norman Whiteside to win you a game rather than Anthony freaking Martial. And Norman Whiteside, we know that what the case there is. So yeah, I mean, that is most probably what we are supposed to do right now. And as I was just completing that, the way he'll go, because as I said, he won't be looking to spend another year without playing at United. So that we might look at a potential termination for him if we can't find a solution, which we really would hope to find one, because हमने उसे रखा है, and that's the best way to get the best out of this situation is getting some cash, some rich raw cash for Mason Greenwood. Roma, Atlanta, Saudi Arabian clubs, especially Slippy G's Al Ittifaq, or is it Al Ittihad? Oh, for fuck's sake. Ittifaq? I think it's Ittifaq. I think Ittihad is that tiger one जिसमें Kante और oh, look at this. But no, जिसमें Kante और Benzema है, I guess that is Al Ittihad. Yeah, I think Ittifaq one is the Jordan Henderson one. Ittihad mein, I guess there is Fabinho as well. So yeah, I think that's that. And by the way, Saudi Arabia से मुझे ये भी याद आया. Obviously, there are reports Gabriel Magalhaes का चल रहा है, and by the way, that'll be very interesting to see. But obviously, they are trying to take one of our centre backs as well. But I don't think yet again, if they offer a tremendous value to Rafael Varane and a tremendous value to Manchester United, only then can I see this. See, वैसे तो ये deal no है, but they're purchasing. There's something called as PPP. FFP होता है एक. There is an economic term PPP, purchasing power parity. I think Saudi Arabia की इतनी high है because अगर उन्हें कोई player नहीं मिल रहा, they'd just offer a fucking jet to him and अब बोल. They'd just offer 30 million more than the market to the club. अब बोल. So you never know with Saudi Arabia, but as things stand, I don't think Rafael Varane is moving an inch because he wants to win. But I think, you know what, maybe next season he could actually move because सब जीत लिया है, अब आया है एक अच्छे अपने पसंदीदा क्लब में, वहां पे ताज जीत नहीं रहा है, बट अगेन एक ट्रॉफी जीत गया है, हो गया है, रिटायर भी हो चुका है. Rafael Varane also seems to be one of those woke players. He also gave up his national team मतलब playing का उसने basically retirement ले ली. He's a pretty vocal guy in terms of UEFA giving so many matches. So यार पता नहीं, I would have jitters if I'm a Rafael Varane fan in particular. Obviously you'd be a Manchester United fan, but if I'm a Rafael Varane fan in particular, which obviously we all are, but you know that Varane FC wale club ka member agar koi hoga, they'd be having jitters in terms of him going to Saudi Arabia, because he seems like a player profile who could do that. Maybe not this season, maybe the next. Maybe the Saudi Arabian league ki teams become so much more attractive next season, as they are on course to do so, that maybe unko no कहना इतना आसान ना हो. But yeah, in terms of Greenwood, as we were saying, Roma, Atlanta, Ittifaq, jiska Slippy G hai basically. If I'm wrong, just it's Slippy G who's managing them. So, I mean, that's that. And yeah, so basically we've covered everything we wanted to for today. And again, it'll be a small request to each and every one of you. And thank you so much. First of all, a big thank you to everyone who interacted in the chat and was there. We appreciate the support. Watching us till here, it means a lot for us here at MUSC Red Devils NCR. It'll be, yes, as I said, a small request. If you could subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the goddamn channel. Like the goddamn video. And also, check out our social links down below, which are attested there. You could check out on Instagram. We are active थ्रू आउट द डे देयर, एंड उससे भी ज्यादा एक्टिव है हम अपने सोशल मीडिया व्हाट्सएप पे, बिकॉज दैट इज अ परपेचुअली एक्टिव प्लेस जहां पर आप कभी भी मैसेज करो, 5 लौंडे तैयार रहेंगे टू गिव यू रिप्लाई। अगर यूनाइटेड को कुछ भी कहा, 5 जूते खाने के लिए तैयार रहना एट एनी टाइम ऑफ द डे, एनी टाइम ऑफ द नाइट. So that's that, and yeah, a big thank you to everyone once again. Let's keep our our ears open about whatever is going to happen in the next few days, because I for one maybe expect a positive PR spin, maybe koi player ka now, maybe something else around Manchester United, maybe through the papers itself, but who knows. But till then, keep supporting United. Again, a big thank you, and GGM you guys. I'll speak to you guys in a bit.